If you're like me, you've probably noticed quite the uptick in gamblers, whether it's slots or card games like blackjack or baccarat on YouTube over the last couple of years. I don't know if this is spillover from sites like Twitch, where you'd see streamers donkey away thousands of dollars promoting sites not legal in the US, or if it's just a coincidence. I'm not sure. I tend to enjoy watching these channels since I also enjoy going to the casino to play slots myself. Some of the channels I've followed over the years include Vegas Matt, Cowboy Slots, and Mr. Handpay. If you've been watching Mr. Handpay, you'll know he's promoted a website called horseplay.com, and he even mentioned that he's taken an equity stake in the company. What that stake amount is remains unknown, and in my opinion, is irrelevant. Mr. Handpay to me has always come off as a genuinely good individual. He's the only person I've seen give back to his viewers, and even to random individuals with his Your Luck Has Arrived segments. He just finished doing an entire month of it. So I want to be clear, I have no issues with Mr. Handpay. The concerns I have are specifically with the live horse racing generated results. I decided I would give it a try, especially since there was a decent promotion being offered at the time. I put in a couple $100 and lost. Put in another 100 and won back what I started with. But the longer I played, the quicker the funds disappeared. Now, one might say, yeah, that's gambling, but losing here felt very different than losing at a casino. At casinos, you tend to notice dead spins with a few okay hits to keep you afloat. Then occasionally you'll get those massive 50 to 100 times your bet wins, depending of course on the volatility of the machine you're playing. And that's the thing. On horseplay.com, they indicate the volatility of the games you're playing. Not all of them, but a decent number. And any real slot player knows that matters a lot. But after what I found out, volatility doesn't seem to matter at all. For the more technical stuff, I am bringing in my friend here. This gets over my head. Explain how all this works, please.
Let's start with live horse racing generated results, which is what horseplay.com uses. It falls under the Federal Interstate Horse Racing Act. The Federal Interstate Horse Racing Act of 1978, amended in 2000, is a very specific piece of legislation that regulates interstate pari-mutuel wagering on horse races, both in person and online. It does not apply to general online gambling like sports betting or slots. Here's the purpose of the act. It permits interstate wagering, bets across state lines on horse racing. It ensures that racetracks, horsemen, and state racing commissions all receive a portion of the betting handle, the total amount wagered. And it requires consent from racing participants and commissions before accepting bets across state lines. And here's how it applies to online gambling. It only applies to pari-mutuel horse racing wagers, even if those wagers are placed online. It does not apply to online casinos, slots, table games, sports betting, daily fantasy sports, or poker. However, because of this law, states that legalize online horse racing betting can allow bets across state lines through platforms like TwinSpires, TVG, and ExpressBet, if all parties consent. These platforms operate under pari-mutuel wagering, meaning players bet against each other, not the house.
Wait, like I mentioned before, different slots are known for different volatility. The older, more boring ones tend to pay better, and the flashy new ones tend to pay a little or a lot, but not consistently. Slot machines also have specific return-to-player amounts, and states regulate them differently. So what's the RTP for sites like horseplay.com?
There is no federally mandated minimum RTP under the Horse Racing Act. In pari-mutuel betting, RTP is fluid. The house, or track, takes a takeout percentage, typically 15 to 25%, and the rest of the pool is paid out to the winners. So the effective RTP depends on the number of bettors and the takeout rate, not on fixed odds like slots. For example, if $100,000 is wagered on a race and the takeout is 20%, $20,000 goes to the track, horsemen, and etc., $80,000 is distributed to the winners. If only a few people win, their payout is higher, but the overall RTP is still just 80%. Now contrast that with slot machines, which are programmed with fixed RTPs, often between 85 and 96%, and are regulated by state law, not federal. Here's why FIA still matters. It's one of the only federal laws that expressly permits interstate online betting, though specifically for horse racing. It predates and still coexists with other laws like the Wire Act, 1961, which bans interstate sports bets, the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act, UGIEA 2006, which limits payments for illegal internet gambling, but exempts horse racing under FIA, and PASPA, which was repealed in 2018 that used to ban sports betting nationwide. So in summary, FIA governs horse racing bets only, particularly interstate online parimutuel betting. No RTP requirements exist under this law. Takeout percentages are regulated by state racing commissions. Online horse race betting is legal under FIA, but only if all parties consent.
That seems a bit crazy to me. So, since there's no specific RTP, you can, legally and technically, be getting a worse return than at your local casino? From the comfort of your own home?
Yes, and not just technically, but often in practice. In parimutuel horse racing, there's no fixed RTP like you find in slots. Instead, it varies depending on the track's takeout rate, again, usually 15 to 25%, the number of winners, the odds at post time, and the type of wager, win, place, show, versus exotic bets like trifectas or pick sixes. Here's why it's riskier than a casino game. The takeout is high. Some exotic pools have takeouts over 25%, which gives the house a much bigger edge than any casino game. The odds aren't fixed, they're fluid based on how others bet. That introduces public bias and volatility. There's no minimum RTP law. Most US casinos must meet minimum RTPs, like 85% in Nevada. Horse racing has no such rule. Whatever's left after the takeout is what's paid. So the bottom line is, if you're comparing return percentages, horse racing often gives you a worse deal. Even slot machines are statistically a better long-term wager.